Hey there, this is Real Talk Baseball. I'm Carlos Baseball. With me, as always, is Will Power. Xavi's not on here. As you guys can see, the intro has Will and Xavi on there for sure. How's it going, Will? How's everything out there in Pennsylvania?
It's a little warm for my liking. It's getting up into the 80s now. I don't really like that too much. This morning was nice, around like 65-ish,
Nice.
but mid-afternoon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, it got up to into the 80s. That's when I keep my ass inside because I'm still missing that California weather. Well, I guess not recently, right? Because California weather's been kind of all over the place. So
Yeah,
I guess I left right in time.
dude, there's a lot of allergy going on around here, sickness. We don't even know what's wrong with people anymore these days. So we'll leave it up to the doctors. We are going to go ahead and go into our show and talk about two-star pitchers, most added pitchers, added hitters, weekend streamers, this dude. And one of the topics that we want to get into when we first started the show is Javi Baez. I don't know if you guys seen this guy has not been hitting right. He's not been on it, and he hit a double because he thought he hit it out for some reason, and then he ran to third base when there was only one out, so they doubled him up. They benched him. Will, I mean, I know if you've seen it. Every baseball person have seen this. Um, what's up with this dude, man? Would you keep him on your team?
You know what? I've been down on this guy for so long, man. It's just the strikeouts that really do it for me, especially in a points league. It's just like these. I think he might have even led the league in strikeouts a couple of seasons. 2022, he had 147 strikeouts. 2021, between the Mets and the Cubs, he
Mhm.
had 184 strikeouts. Yeah, 184 strikeouts between both
Wow.
teams. That's almost 200 strikeouts for the season.
Yeah.
Man, the only way that I can see that is actually like makes it worth it is if this guy's hitting 40 home runs plus, you know.
Yeah.
But he's not even doing that, man. The season that he had 184 strikeouts, he batted 265 with a 319 OBP, which is good, and 813 OPS, which is okay. But those strikeouts, dude, that's just it makes me very weary of him. The 18 stolen bases and the 31 home runs that he had that year, that
Mhm.
was all part of the juice ball era. I really don't think that we're ever going to be able to see 30 home runs again from Javi Baez.
Yeah.
His power, it's been lacking. You know, this season he has no home runs so far, only 5 hits. He's batting 122 with a 182 OBP, a 328 OPS. I don't want to say that this guy is done, but there's definitely something going on with this guy that maybe it's just him signing with Detroit. Maybe he's just not happy there. You know,
Well,
he's
that
been
was the
there.
only team that offered him the money. Remember, he wasn't getting offers from anybody else. He saw the money. He's like, "Let me go to Detroit." But there's more than just to that. This type of player kind of needs that push from other players, right? We saw it with the Cubs. We saw it when he plays with Team Puerto Rico. He's one of those fiery players that gets everything started. So I don't see
Yeah.
that in Detroit. I don't
See,
see that in
like
Detroit.
even with the Cubs, or I don't really remember him too much with the Mets, but with the Cubs, his defense was always really solid too. And even that's not
Yeah,
that great anymore. So
yeah,
honestly, I think maybe this guy has like some personal issues that he might be going through where he's just distracted all the time. I mean, how do you make so many base running errors within just a couple days? You know,
yeah,
it's just this guy's been playing baseball his whole entire life. He's supposed to be a professional, and to make that many base running errors in 2 days, it's a little wild for me. So
yeah.
I think something's definitely going on with him. I think it's safe to say that you can drop him. There's some pretty good options out there in free agency and waivers to pick up some shortstops that are available. One that I definitely want to highlight is Vaughn Grissom that just got called up from the Braves.
Yeah.
We saw just a small sample size from Vaughn Grissom. He did not impress. He wasn't the greatest out there, but
Hmm.
he is a top prospect in the Braves organization. So if you think that there's nothing really out there, Vaughn Grissom is available. Why not take a chance on him? Drop Javi Baez, pick up Vaughn Grissom. More than likely, he's going to stay up with the big club. I think the plan in the beginning was him to stay with the big club already as it was,
Yeah.
and then they said that I guess he needed a little bit more guidance on defense. So I don't know if that's really changed at all, or what's kind of going on with the Braves. But the call up is there. It's still early. It's not one of those September call ups. So most likely, I would assume that he's probably going to be there for the long haul.
Yeah, and that's not a bad pickup. I mean, yeah, Javi Baez, he's only 56% owned, and I think he's in the negatives. Like, people are dropping them like flies. Like, there's a lot of, especially like you said before we started the show, you said in the 10 teams league, like, you can pick up some other shortstops. There's so many other out there. And not only that, but there's, there's an upside for like potential players that are coming up. Like you just said, Grissom, you said? Grissom.
Yeah.
Grissom. There you go. Yeah, might want to look into that guy. All right, so let's go ahead and start with the two-start pitchers, man. And then this is only the recommended list to who would pick up or would want you to pick up for sure on this one, on this next week.
So the first guy I kind of want to talk about is we kind of had a little bit. We spoke a little bit on him last week, Javi and I. And that's Kyle Freeland. Kyle Freeland has been pitching decent. It's scary when you pick up a guy that plays in Colorado half of his games. Yeah. But he's already had 2 games in Colorado, or 1 game in Colorado, and he actually did pretty decent. He's always been kind of like that pitcher where I would just pick him up to stream because he's a good pitcher when he pitches away from Coors Field. Yeah. The problem is Coors Field, you're going to have that Coors Field effect. So he's already faced the Nationals and the Padres. He faced the Padres in San Diego, and he faced the Nationals at home. And against the Nationals, he only allowed 4 hits, 2 walks, had 5 strikeouts in 6.2 innings. Yeah. His whip was actually really good. So he looked pretty good against a team like the Nationals. And that's the problem is how do we know this guy is legit when he faced one of the weakest lineups in baseball? And then when he went over to San Diego, it was actually his first start of the season. He pitched very well over there. 6 innings, allowed 3 hits, 1 walk, only 1 strikeout against a San Diego team that actually does strike out pretty often. So I'm surprised that he didn't really get too many swings and misses in San Diego. But I think he's going to have a tougher challenge with the Cardinals coming up. It's going to be in Colorado, so that's a scary matchup for me. If I had Kyle Freeland, I probably wouldn't start him against the Cardinals. Or actually, no, I'm sorry, that was 3 days ago that he pitched against the Cardinals.
That was 3 days ago. Yeah,
2 earned runs actually in 6 innings, only allowed 6 hits, so that's actually not too bad, and 5 strikeouts from Kyle Freeland. So the notes that I have, the curveball is actually his moneymaker. I feel like he needs a lot more fastball command. So his curveball is getting a lot of swings and misses. He only uses it 16% of the time. So that's kind of the red flag for me right there. I think maybe because he pitches in Colorado, he's scared that he's just going to leave a hanging curveball up there, and guys are just going to tee off on it. But he had a 40% whiff rate on his curveball, only 84 miles per hour exit velocity on his curve. Slider's pretty good also. He had a 14.7% whiff rate on his slider. The average exit velocity was 87.9. His sinker was actually the one that was getting hit the hardest, and that's the one he uses most often. He throws that pitch 37% of the time. He had a expected batting average of 311 on his sinker, average exit velocity of 91.7, and only 8.3% whiff on his sinker. So I know you want to throw the sinker in Colorado because you want to put the ball on the ground, but the problem is Colorado doesn't really have the greatest defensive infield either. So a lot of those ground balls are going to turn into hits, especially without the defensive shift now.
Yeah, which is kind of something that you got to think about, because when you throw a sinker, you leave it up, you're going to get, that ball's going to get hit hard. So I don't know if you guys remember back in the day, Hideo Nomo, he threw a no-hitter out there in Colorado of all places, and he had his sinker working and he had his forkball working. And that's, like Will said, if you keep it down, you'll be a good pitcher, but it's hard for a pitcher to keep it down when the air is thinner out there. And the time has a lot to do with it too. The time has a lot to do with it.
Out of your hand differently. Exactly. There's a lot of pitchers. German Marquez, Kyle Freeland, forgot the closer's name for the Rockies, but a lot of these guys, they have a different pitch mix, or even John Gray. You can look at John Gray. They have a different pitch mix because you have to pitch differently in Colorado.
Yeah.
Something like if you throw a slider at Dodger Stadium, it's going to break completely different than it does in Coors Field.
Yeah.
So these guys become accustomed to their environment. And some of them become really good pitchers, but it also inflates their ERA because you miss your locations, and the other team has good fastball hitters or whatever it may be. They're just going to tee off on you.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got that one streamer. I mean, not streamer, 2-star pitcher. You have any others?
Yeah. So the next guy I want to talk about is actually the one guy that I want to emphasize the most out of this whole segment today, the whole show, and that's
Just want to
Taj
put that
Bradley.
on there. Go
That's
ahead.
Taj Bradley. Taj Bradley, which is why I'm wearing this Tampa Bay Rays hat. He is just a phenomenal pitcher, dude. He's only 22 years old. He's not that big, 6'2", 190. But the Rays, dude, they know how to develop their pitching. They are so good at developing their pitcher. We've seen that with multiple pitchers coming out of Tampa.
Okay.
One that comes to mind is Tyler Glasnow. Even though he's always hurt, when that guy is healthy, he is top 5 in baseball when it comes to pitching. He was the number one prospect. He is the number one prospect in the Rays organization. Looks like Jeffrey Springs is going to be out for about 2 months. So I'm assuming that Taj Bradley is going to be taking his spot. Originally, they called him up to make a spot start just for Zach Eflin, and they sent him back down just the next day. But now that Jeffrey Springs is going to be out for 2 months, that's 5-6 starts that we're actually going to be able to see from Taj Bradley. And if this guy continues to impress, he might actually be in the bigs for good now. He had a 45. What is it? 31.6 whiff rate on his four-seamer, a 50% whiff rate on his curve, and a 36% ground ball rate. So this guy is the player that I want on my team in every single team, every league that I have. I think that this guy might be a potential game changer and maybe even rookie of the year for the American League.
Dang, that's pretty good, man. I honestly feel like I haven't heard of him until now, and I'm looking up his stats, and I'm just like, okay, not bad. He should be one of those guys that's going to help Tampa Bay. And since we're talking about Tampa Bay, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it was one of the things I didn't even mention, and I want to go ahead and put this on here before we continue. Will, Tampa Bay is one of those teams that are 13-0 to start the season, dude. And we have all these surprises on here before we continue with all these pitchers and stuff like that. But 13-0, is this guy going to help them continue 14, 15, 16, 17-0, or even probably 20-0 when we get to that part? Because the A's, and that's why I'm wearing the A's hat. I'm wearing the A's hat because they have 20 wins, but that was later on in the season when they accomplished that. To start off 13-0 is a huge accomplishment.
It's only been done one time in the past, and if they get to 14, they're going to break the major league record.
Yeah. So then you have the Rays, and you just mentioned Taj Bradley, and you have all these. You still have Tyler Glasnow on a 15-day IL that might come back soon, and then because he's already started throwing 60 feet, I believe. So if you have him on your IL, keep him there. He's doing okay. But then you look at at Arizona. You have Arizona's playing pretty decent baseball. You have all these speedsters there, man. There's a lot of players there that I don't really know about. So, I mean, it's a good thing that you keeping up with baseball and you're watching these teams and you're seeing them play. If you're a fantasy owner, you want to see the Arizona Diamondbacks are one of those teams. And the other one, which is surprising to me, is the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're 8-5 as well. So there's players on that team you might want to look at. And I don't know if you have a mention on any team, Will, that people are not picking up on and they should be picking up on.
Players?
Yeah, players
from the Pirates. I kind of like Iwan Bay, dude. He
Yeah,
is a baseball player. He's not
yeah,
just a guy that's gonna go out there and just, he's a good hitter or he's a good defender. He's both, man. He does not have a lot of power. That's the only downside to G1 Bay.
yeah,
Um, but other than that, man, he is the prototypical baseball player that is just kind of decent at everything. He's
yeah.
only batting 231 right now. He has a couple home runs, 3 stolen bases. Um, he hits the ball somewhat decently hard for a younger guy, 23 years old. On average exit velocity is 87.6. Max exit velocity is 104.2.
Yeah.
The expected batting average is it's not really there. It's at a 212. So, um, this is the kind of guy that you want to have like in a deep league. Um, I really wouldn't recommend him if you're in a shallow league, like a 10 team or 12 team. But if you have a middle infield spot, he's a pretty decent option. Connor Joe has actually been lighting it up. He's been hitting some home runs. Brian Reynolds, I feel like Brian Reynolds is the MVP of the Pirates organization right now.
Mm.
I'm so glad that I drafted him, dude, because he wants to get traded. Maybe not so much anymore, seeing that the Pirates actually do have some potential.
Yeah.
Um, this
It's a
this
little
guy,
early. I know a lot of people are thinking like, oh, it's a little early. Baseball takes a time for them to get into that midseason form, like that 13 and 0. Like it's not something that we should be so interested in. But there's a lot of players that start this way and end this way, and that's what makes them stars. Like
yeah, and
starting off
not
this
just
way,
players, but whole teams, like as we're
yeah,
seeing, is
that
the
momentum.
Pirates. The Pirates are on a decent streak right now. Is this going to hold up? I still think they're probably going to finish last in the division. Um,
You're still
guys,
thinking they're gonna hold last?
yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
that they're
they're
gonna
not
be
gonna keep it
anywhere
up.
close to making the playoffs.
How,
If even if you just look at their pitching, Mitch Keller, Rich Hill,
mm,
they have damn, there's one guy that's on the IL right now that's actually pretty decent. I forget his name, but it's like you look up and down the lineup, and there's not really like any stars. Andrew McCutcheon used to be a star. He was a former MVP back in like 2011 or whenever that was.
yeah,
Brian Reynolds is really the only one that's actually that actually has some potential that I see. We
yeah.
saw Vince Velasquez with the Phillies for a long time, and he had
Mhm.
some starts that were decent or whatever, but he's not a good pitcher. So I think it's just a hot streak right now, and it's probably not going to be very long lived. But because some of these guys are getting kind of like the spotlight, it does open up some doors for some trade possibilities for MLB, not for like fantasy purposes, but maybe a guy like Brian Reynolds to get traded, and the Pirates can actually get some prospects in the future, and we can see Brian Reynolds on a better team.
Exactly. And it's a really pretty good. He's a pretty good player. I forgot the guy that was with the Pittsburgh Pirates that went to the Padres. Um,
Adam
his last
Frazier.
he's Adam Frazier. He's one of those players that was good with the Pirates. He went with the Padres, and he really did not do all that well. But it might be different with this player because he does. It seems like he wants to get traded to a contending team, not just any team, a contending team.
Yeah.
So we might see that. Okay, so you said the Pirates are they're not going to be one of those teams that continue playing that way. What about Arizona?
Arizona's lineup actually looks really, really good, dude.
Yeah.
I'm looking at these guys. Corbin Carroll, the rookie, he's super
He's a
fast.
speedster. Yeah.
He's a speedster. He has some pop. Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who played with the Blue Jays, he's had some really good spurts throughout his career. Ketel Marte at one point was regarded as one of the best players in baseball that just can't stay healthy. For now,
Yeah.
he's healthy. The pitching is actually pretty decent. Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, those two, it's the 1-2 punch that you always kind of look for in a baseball team. Bumgarner's kind of like the guy that's like the veteran in the clubhouse that's kind of leading a lot of the younger guys. Christian Walker, the hometown kid from where I live now. He's actually from about 15 minutes away from where I live. He's kind of come on the rise in the last like couple seasons. Also, he's a 30 home run type of player. Not really going to do much for you in batting average, but 30 home runs is nothing to laugh about. Jake
Yeah,
McCarthy is doing pretty decent. Evan Longoria is another veteran in the clubhouse that I'm sure a lot of these younger guys would like to look up to. I feel like they really do have a decent team. I still don't think that they can compete with the Dodgers and the Padres. But they're
they're
making some
building.
noise. They're making
Yeah,
some noise.
they are. They're making big noise, and uh, I just want to throw out that Bumgarner is one of those pitchers that he's kind of experiencing the same thing Javi Baez is. He's one of those high contract players and not performing up to its potential. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it kind of
Diamondbacks
sucks
thought
for.
that they were getting an ace,
Yeah, they were getting
and
that San Francisco pitcher, right?
yeah, but when your fastball goes from 92 and then drops down to 87, you're not really going to be able to do much with that unless you have some type of backup. You can have command with your 87-mile-an-hour fastball, but you need that slider, that curve, that change, something to go along with it, a few pitches to go along with it to really be able to be a good pitcher.
Yeah. Hey, well, I can't really see. My contacts are giving me a hard time right now. I don't know if you can read what it says on the fans page right now. I can't really.
Fun fact: if you Google San Francisco Giants owner, it'll say Max Muncy.
He did hit 4 bombs this week, and I get what he got 11 RBIs. Man, he went off,
Dude,
dude. And he,
there was a guy on Twitter. I forget who it was. Someone from the MLB world, and he said that we need to change Funky Muncy to Maximus Muncy, like from Gladiator.
yeah, that's a good
I like
name.
that
But
one.
yeah,
I like that
he
one.
is the owner. I guess he's owning the freaking Giants. He
Hey, ever
he hates
since he
playing
said
there.
go
By the
get it
way,
out of the ocean, man.
you know what's crazy, dude? Every time a player says they hate playing in a certain place, they usually play a lot better. Like I remember when I in my playing days, like I hated playing at night, or I hated playing in the super heat, and those are the games that I went off. And for some reason, those games were one of those like I went off, and I can see Max Muncy saying, "I hate playing in this cold weather every time coming to San Francisco. It's a wet place. I hate it." And look how well he plays out there, man. He
Yeah.
plays really well, and that's
Especially against
really
lefties, especially against lefties. Like
yeah.
Max Muncy doesn't really hit lefties very well. That's actually where his power comes from. But dude, hitting off of lefties in San Francisco, that's not the easiest thing to do. The
It's not.
wind is just so inconsistent; it pushes the ball back in.
Yep.
But this dude's hit it out into McCovey Cove, 4 or 5 times already.
I can kind of see this one, Rich Ando. Like, thanks for sending these messages. CG3 needs to sit down. I agree with that. I think he needs to have more reps somewhere, not in the major leagues, because he's had a lot of chances to
Yeah.
like to break through, and he hasn't come through at all. So
Yeah, he's just one of those aging players. I want to say he's like 32, 33 years old now, and he was in his prime, in like 2017, 2018 when the Dodgers were like really the powerhouse of MLB. It wasn't meant to be, I guess. But
yeah,
I'm so glad he's part of the Dodgers because he plays every position very well defensively, and he's a guy that can guide these players like James Outman,
yeah.
like Gavin Lux that's injured right now, and
Hmm.
all these younger guys. Justin Turner was kind of like the one of the leaders in the clubhouse, one of the
Yeah,
veteran players, and now I feel like it's kind of on CT3, Chris Taylor, to
yeah.
kind of take up that mantle and be a good mentor for all these young players. The Dodgers have a lot of young players that they're trying out.
I agree
Um,
with you, dude. I agree with you completely because I feel like CT3 is one of those veteran presence because he was with the World Series team. He went to the World Series twice with or 3 times with that team that pretty much got rid of like Bellinger and all these other players, and he's still part of this team. So I think that veteran presence should be something good for these young players. But for him, I feel like he needs to start hitting a little bit here and there, bunting at least. A lot of other teams are bunting. I don't know if you've
Dude,
seen base,
have you
you
seen
know.
the
So,
Rays? The Rays are
yeah,
playing some crazy
small ball.
small ball right
Yeah,
now. Squeeze plays, you
yeah.
just bunting over dudes. It's like it's becoming
That's
the
why they're
game.
13-0. That's
Yeah,
why they're 13 and
seriously.
0.
Seriously, dude, because all you got to do is just keep on getting on base. You know, we learned that from the Oakland A's. Just get on base.
Yeah,
Just get
yeah,
on base and, just move runners over, and
yeah,
then once there's two outs, there's not really much you can do. You have to get a hit or a walk, but it's like a lot of these teams, which is why I think Bellinger just struggled just so much, is because they just want to hit home runs.
right.
There needs to be a little bit more speed on the base paths. There needs to be a little bit more contact and not just power all the time. That's
Yeah,
that's the way the game is going towards, I believe.
yeah. All right. So, how do you guys feel about Tatis trying to flex in the minor leagues? I'm sorry. I'm kind of my contacts. Can you read this one? Well, sorry. I was trying to read it, dude, but I'm over here squinting, and
I got you.
I could barely, I could
Good
barely
thing I
see
got
it, dude.
that 2020 vision. How do
Exactly.
you guys feel about Tatis trying to flex in the minors and calling it being called a rehab assignment? Dude, I don't know if you saw this. Tatis hit 3 home runs in one game in his
Hmm.
rehab assignment.
8 RBIs.
A triple dong. That is crazy. And I've been telling people for the longest time, Tatis is going to come back, and steroids or not, this is one of the best players in the game, and he's only going to miss less than a month of the season in 2023, and
Hmm.
he has all the potential in the world to be an MVP.
Yeah, yeah.
He
He,
could carry
he,
the Padres all the way to the World Series. Him and
I,
Machado.
yeah, I agree. It's just we talked about it this last show, and on Monday, and I had a problem with him having that minor league stint because the rule in 2015 changed where you can have 20 games before you can go into the big leagues. So he's coming back in what is it, April 20th?
Yeah.
That's when he's eligible to come back to the Padres. So he's not getting paid. Like that's why he's serving the suspension.
He's
But
shaking off
these
that rust, though.
yeah, shaking off that rust and all that stuff. Like I think, and this is kind of like my opinion. I'm not hating on the guy. Like he did what he did for ringworm. He lied about it, you know, and then and then, and then it came out that he wanted to do it because he wanted to pair. And I feel like maybe we talked about it as well. Remember, I think it was one of those shows, one of the first shows in this year that we said maybe one of these bigger guys like a Machado, like someone should have told him like, hey, dude, you already messed up, but go talk to the team. Talk to the team that you messed up. You did it because you wanted to come back into the season. You wanted to hurry up and get that injury, like well, healed because he has a lot of injuries. But I just feel like those 20 games shouldn't happen. Those 20 games should happen once his time is served. And he shouldn't be eligible to come back until, he's ready to come back up into the leagues. You have
Yeah.
pitchers on in the minor leagues getting all mad because they're serving up these home runs to a major leaguer. Remember, these minor leaguers are trying to come up to the major leagues. Right, but if you can't strike out Tatis, are you going to come up to the majors?
I
I
mean,
don't
like I
think so.
just said, Tatis is one of the best hitters in baseball right now.
Yeah,
Um, I can see what Rich Ando's saying on the next. Yeah, okay, but we don't know how good he is with steroids. I mean, he was
yeah.
he was on steroids because he wanted to come back sooner. Because steroids not only increases your muscle, but it also helps you um,
Heal a lot
recuperate a
faster.
lot
Yeah,
faster. To heal a
yeah,
lot faster, and he just wasn't healing as fast as he wanted to. He wanted to come back as soon as possible, and I really believe that that's why he was taking the steroids. I don't think that he was on steroids before all this happened. Like why wouldn't he have gotten caught before? Because they do random drug testing in MLB, and if other guys like D Gordon are getting caught with steroids, it's like why wouldn't Fernando Tatis Jr. be caught with steroids as well? I really think that this guy's even missing a month of the season, he's going to hit 30 home runs. He's going to steal 20 bases, probably even more than 20 bases.
yeah,
Now with the size of the base increase and only being able to throw over twice from a pitcher,
yeah.
um, I don't think that we've seen everything that we can from Tatis. I think that he's going to surpass every MLB player and become the best of our generation.
He took the words out of my mouth. We shall see. Because like and you know what? As a baseball fan, baseball first, I would want this kid to perform to his great potential because he is great. It's just like he got caught in the moment. He wanted to come into MLB and be like, you know what? I want to heal my injuries and be the best player out there because you see the potential. You'll see how good he is. Unfortunately, he's with the Padres. A lot of people on here are Dodger fans and including myself. Like I'm a Dodger fan. Just don't be fooled by the hat. I'm just wearing different hats all the time. Will wears different hats too because we're MLB baseball fans first before we're fans of the team. Will,
Yeah, you
you
can see
agree?
it right here.
Yeah.
See it right there.
So I think the reason why I feel like Tatis could be potentially one of the greatest, and I don't want him to not play. Like, because I don't want him to feel like when they go to Dodger Stadium and the Dodgers sweep them and they be like, oh, it's because we didn't have Tatis. Oh, it's because we didn't have Machado. Like, no, forget the excuses. Let this man play. Let him prove it. A-Rod did it back in the days. He had steroids on him, and he said, I had to perform. I had to make sure my team was on top. I had to make sure that the front office is getting their full money's worth. You know, I need to make sure that the fans don't hate me when I strike out on bases loaded, 2 outs and stuff like that. So the pressure these players have, we don't really look into that a lot, but they pretty much get a lot of things handed to them on emails. They get, letters and stuff like that, talking crap to them. So imagine having all that pressure. So it is what it is. Hopefully he doesn't get caught again. But if he does, he's not going to be a Hall of Famer. Like I mentioned before, this is one of the things that we've talked about and we've been talking about forever. Is he a Hall of Famer even though he got caught with steroids? In my book, he will. I don't know how you feel about it, but like I think to be honest, it's one of those things where we shall see as the season goes on and he starts playing for the Padres. All right, there's
Um,
another one.
I want him to be great and prove it, but me being a purist, he has to prove it to a Doyers fan. A Doyers fan.
Doyers. I love it.
Los Doyers. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. He definitely has to prove it. He definitely has to prove that the steroids isn't the reason why he was considered one of the best players in baseball 2 years ago, before the surgery. I think that the surgery is a great time to have this at this point in his career, because if you wait too long, you're gonna be in the middle of your prime. And this guy is so young, dude. Do you know how old he is? I don't even know how old he is
He's
right now.
23, 24, I believe. 24 years old.
He's still really young.
Really young.
24 years old. He's 6'3", 217 pounds. He's a big dude. He hits the ball exceptionally hard in 2021. So he didn't play at all in 2022. In 2021, we still had some of the juice balls. So a lot of his home runs probably wouldn't be home runs now, but he still hits the ball really hard. Average exit velocity in 2021 was 93.9. In 2020 was 95.9. He had a max exit velocity in 2021 of 116.6. That is freaking crazy, man.
Mm-hmm.
I think the hardest hit ball ever was 118, and that was by O'Neal Cruz. He actually surpassed Giancarlo Stanton by like a fraction of 1 mile an hour. But dude, Tatis hitting the ball 116 miles an hour. His expected batting average in 2021 was 279, and expected slug was 217. Dude, this guy has all the opportunity in the world to be what baseball was calling Mike Trout a couple seasons ago. And
that's true.
The only difference that I see is Mike Trout is such a good defender, and Tatis is not. Tatis really needs to work on his glove. I think that's the going to be the biggest hole in his game, unless he wants to go, and be like what was that very famous DH Edgar
Renter? No, you're talking about the Mariners?
Yeah.
Edgar should pop up right now, man. You put me on the spot, and I put you on the spot a lot too.
I know, and you're the encyclopedia over
Edgar
here,
Martinez.
Man.
Edgar
There you go,
Martinez.
Edgar
Gotcha.
Martinez. Good job, good job. Yeah, that guy. So is he going to be the type to be like a permanent DH and be like an Edgar Martinez or like a Nelson Cruz type? That type of player. He is so athletic, dude. I feel like that would just take away so much from his true potential. I think he just needs to get out there and just really learn how to play the defensive game. He's not a
Yep.
very good shortstop. They ended up moving him out to the outfield, and he even made a couple errors in the outfield, missing just a really easy pop fly. Um,
He
I
will clean
think
it up, though. He will clean it
all
up.
about
And he's
reps.
still
It's all
young.
about reps. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He hasn't completed 2 seasons with the Padres. If you're talking about the amount of games he's played 273, I believe, or 279. So that's not even 2 seasons completed if you're talking about the amount of games he's played. So once he comes back, I'm pretty sure he's going to want to play every game. He's going to be a gamer. He's going to be a gamer changer. He's going to be an impact on the Padres for sure, dude. So, I
He just
mean,
needs to stay
it
healthy.
is, yeah, and that's one of the things that he needs to do. Dude, we got a little sidetracked, but it's fine. We can go ahead and go into the next segment, which is the most added pitchers, dude. Or were you done with the pitching, the 2-star pitchers, right? I think you mentioned the two. You
Yeah,
needed
the main one that I wanted to highlight is Taj Bradley. We talked
Josh
about him a
Bradley.
bit, and
Yeah.
Kyle Freeland was the second. I don't really recommend Kyle Freeland too much, but if you're desperate and he's out there, hope for the best.
Yeah. You're one of those, like, it's a toss up. It's a 50-50. You never know. But if you need a pitcher, he's doing pretty good. He's not doing bad at all.
Yeah, he's
Why not
doing
have him?
well.
Yeah.
The thing with Kyle Freeland, his ERA is at a 0.96, but his expected ERA is a 3.71. So his real numbers are not really reflecting his expected numbers, which makes me think that there's something to be a little bit weary about. Especially pitching in Colorado half of his games.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, let's move on. Cheers, boys. Thank you, man. Thanks for all the questions, dude. Like, hopefully we answered or we comment on everything you said. We like that. We like the interaction. That's what this show is about. We have the fantasy show today on Fridays, and we do have the MLB recap on what is it, Mondays? I'm forgetting my days already. Today it was supposed to be Will and Chavi. Will decided, well, not decided, but Chavi couldn't make it today, and Will reached out and said, "Okay, I can do it." So I'm all out here happy
Yeah, you
talking
actually
about
had a
baseball all
Friday
the time.
off finally.
I'm all here having fun on the time. So talking baseball is one of my things, man. So all right, let's
That's
go
right.
ahead and move on to the most added pitchers for baseball, for fantasy baseball right now. And I know you have some good ones.
Yeah. So the most added pitcher this week, and one that I'm actually really excited to talk about, is Brad Keller. So Brad Keller, just this season, he introduced a curveball. He's been throwing it 25% of the time. And that's actually very strange to see that, because when a new pitcher introduces a new pitch, you don't really see them throw it that often. But this guy is throwing it with confidence. He's throwing it very well. He's throwing it in the zone when he wants. He's throwing it out of the zone when he wants. He also introduced a sweeping curveball. Which is just a variation of his curve. That one is going to get a lot more swings and misses than his just regular curve is. But he had 8 strikeouts on the curve. Batters are whiffing 37.2% of the time, with an expected batting average of 166 on that curveball.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've been reading, I was on the Royals website earlier in the week, and I didn't know this, but their manager, Matt Quatraro, he was actually the former bench coach for the Rays from 2019 to 2022. And we just got done talking about the Rays know how to develop their pitching. This guy coming over from the Rays to the Royals, I think that he is the reason why the Royals are actually having so much success with their pitchers. It's Brad Keller, Bubich, and Brady Singer. Now, Brady Singer really hasn't been the best this season, but maybe he just hasn't found it yet.
But don't forget about having Greinke on that staff, man.
Yeah, just
Who's that veteran presence?
I look at Greinke as that veteran that's gonna lead these guys to be the the pitcher that they really could be. But I'm
Yeah.
really glad to see that another guy from the Rays is moving on to different teams and just showing what analytics does. Because
Yeah.
Mike Matheny was the manager of the Royals after he got fired from being the Cardinals manager, goes
Yep.
over to the Royals, and he did not turn around the team like the
No.
Royals. Front
Front
what
office.
the front office really wanted him
Yeah.
to. But he's not an analytics guy. He's more like, I don't care about the numbers. I know baseball, and he's like one of those old school like scouts.
Yeah.
But dude, this guy Matt Quatrado, he learned from Andrew Friedman, who is in the front office for the Dodgers. These guys, they're all about the analytics, and now we see what the analytics are actually doing for the Rays, and we also see what they're doing for the managers or coaches or front office or whatever that moves on from the Rays going to other teams.
Yeah.
And I believe in Brad Keller, and I believe in Bubich, and both of those guys are on my radar. I actually tried to do a trade for Brad Keller earlier. One of the guys that I talked about last week, one of the hot bats, Brian Anderson, I tried to trade him for Brad Keller, but I got denied. It's hard to get pitching. A lot of people want to hold on to their pitching, especially when there's so many pitchers that are just not doing so well. If you drafted a guy like Max Scherzer, he has not been the greatest for you. If you draft a guy like Justin Verlander, that just hasn't even had a start yet, it's been rough for pitching.
Yeah.
So when you have guys like this, like Brad Keller and Bubich, that are actually like they're helping your team succeed and possibly helping you get the win for the week, these are the guys that are definitely on my radar and should be on everyone's radar right now.
I agree, man. And for those of you though that don't know where Brad Keller is, he's with the Kansas City Royals. He's in that pitching staff at Grankley, like we just mentioned. And why not pick him up? If he's on your league available, go for it. He has 2 wins, 1 loss, but look at his ERA. It's at 2.12. And everything that Will just said is like true. I think you guys need to look at this guy and not even think about it. I think you should just pick him up. It's not even a gamble at this point because he's throwing pretty well. So he's going to develop into something special. Who else, Will, do you have for most added pitchers? Is that the only one right now?
Yeah, that's it for the pitchers. And the one more
Okay.
thing that I wanted to say about the Royals also is that
Yeah.
they are in one of the weakest divisions in baseball, so they're going to be playing a lot of weak lineups as well.
Yeah.
It's like when Trevor Bauer won the Cy Young, and I was telling everyone like it. One of the reasons he won the Cy Young is because he's pitching in one of the weakest divisions in baseball, and that's when he was with the Guardians or
Yeah.
the Indians back then.
At that time.
So
Yeah.
that's one other thing that he's going for him. Moving on to the most added hitter is another guy that I'm actually very excited about. That people are starting to pick him up at an alarming rate. I believe he's already at. I think when I checked today, he was at 73%.
Really?
Yesterday he was right under 70%, and that's Jared Kelenic. So Jared Kelenic was the number 4 overall prospect in 2021, just right behind Wander Franco, Adley Rutschman, Spencer Torkelson. We all know all these names. And he was actually right in front of J-Rod also, Julio Rodriguez, who was the rookie of the year last season with the Mariners.
Which he's the
So
fastest player to hit 30 home runs at his age and with the Mariners. Just wanted to point that out. Go ahead.
yeah, and that's even crazier because the Mariners don't really play in a hitter-friendly ballpark. So
No.
for J-Rod to be able to do that, that's just a testament to how good this guy is.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was the number 4 overall prospect in 2021. We really expected a breakout for the past few seasons. This guy's had a lot of injuries and just hasn't really lived up to the hype. But this season, he has a 336 expected batting average. He's hitting the ball at 94.4 miles an hour on average.
Wow.
The only down thing I see about this guy is he bats 6th or 7th in the lineup every day. And with the Mariners, I look at like who's batting in front of him, and I'm like, really, Cal Raleigh? You're having Cal Raleigh hit in front of Jared Kelenic? I understand Cal Raleigh is a big power hitter, but the guy just barely hits over the Mendoza line.
Yeah.
So he'll hit a lot of balls to the outfield, and that's basically about it. But Jared Kalenic, I really think if he just keeps on hitting, if he keeps this hot streak, I think that the Mariners will actually move him up in the order. Maybe he'll be like a number 2 or number 3 hitter, and
Yeah.
he's going to score a lot of runs. He's going to get a lot of RBI. He has a 415 on base percentage. If that's not a number 2 or a number 3 guy, I don't know what is, man. Another thing that I want to highlight about Kalenic is he dropped his strikeout percentage. Last season, he was striking out at a 33.7 percentage rate. That's way too high. 30% and over is, you want to leave those guys alone. That's Javi Baez territory.
Yep.
This season, he's actually at a 26.8. So the plate discipline's getting better. The contact skills are getting better. I really think that if he is available in your league, you need to run out and get this guy right away.
I already checked. He's not. Because I looked at him on Friday, or what was it? Friday of last week, and I'm like, he's not available anymore. So, especially like where the league that we're playing in. So there's a lot of baseball heads on there, but he is one of those players that I think the Mariners do need to move him up in the lineup. I'm pretty sure they are, because Mariners struggle. They struggle, especially when they went to the playoffs last year. They went into a 16 inning game against the Guardians. It's hard for me to get used to that, man. What the hell? The Guardians, Indians, Anyway, it took them a while to get hitting into. So if this man is hitting, why not move him up in the lineup? And I'm pretty sure he is, dude. I can say it.
I think
He's
one
of those.
It's a little early to be kind of like moving around the lineup, which is why I think the manager's not really doing that yet. But as certain players really start to struggle, and if Jared Kalenic can just keep on hitting, he'll definitely start to get moved up. We saw Ozzy Albies just recently get moved down in the order to number 6 because he's just not hitting. So if there's other guys on the M's that are just not going to be hitting, they're going to get moved down, and the only way for Kalenic to go is up.
Yep, that's true. All right, man, let's go ahead and move up to the next one, man. We already had the most added hitters, more added pitchers, and weekend streamers, dude. I know this is one topic that a lot of fantasy baseball owners would want to hear about this. So give us your first streamer, dude.
Yeah, let me pull this up real quick. All right. So I actually have 5 weekend streamers that I would recommend. And that's not really saying much because this weekend there's, every team is playing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which means there's 15 games each day. And I'm really only recommending 5 starters. So the first one that I'm recommending is actually for today. And if it's possible to pick them up in your league, if you're watching this live, then great. If not, sorry you missed out. That's Sean Manaea at Detroit. He's been on point, dude, and we've known him in the past to be a really great pitcher with the A's, and now I still kind of have like a pretty high regard for him, especially seeing what he's been doing this season. Second one that I want to highlight is the rookie from the Braves. It's I forgot his first name, but his last name is Elder. Do you remember his first name?
I got him on my fantasy league, and I'll get you.
Bryce. Oh, you did, huh?
Yeah.
You jerk! You got him right before me.
I had to pick him up, dude. I needed pitching.
Yeah. I actually have a lot of pitching, so if you want to trade, I'm down. All right, so Bryce Elder, and then I got Graham Ashcraft versus the Phillies. It's at Phillies, and then I have Kyle Gibson at White Sox, and Anthony Desclafani at Detroit on Sunday. So those are my 5 weekend streamers that I'm recommending.
That's a good list, though. I honestly, Desclafani, Detroit's not that good.
Exactly, and it's at Detroit. Detroit's not really the best hitting ballpark either. So
they're struggling right now, especially with that Javi Baez, as we started the show with to talk about. So those are a good list, man. All right, we reached that point in time that we get to the segment of this dude, and this dude this week is gonna be something that I kind of feel like, why did they have to reopen this? But I'll go ahead and put this picture out there, and I'm pretty sure you guys already heard it. We talked about it this last show on Monday because it was fresh. It just had just come out, and I'll put this video right quick. That don't know who this man is Evan Goddess, and he decided to tweet. I'm pretty sure he was drunk, dude.
Probably.
He was drunk tweeting that he knew what pitches were coming from CC. He knew everything about Kershaw. And not just him, everybody knew when he was going to throw the pitches. I believe they were talking about game 5 because game 5 was that game that if the Dodgers would have won that game, they would have come back home and they would have faced Verlander game 6, which we all know what happened game 6. The Dodgers won that game. How do you feel this man coming out now that you're trying to feel like, okay, the Dodgers did winning in 2020, whatever, we're over it, whatever. But then this man decides to come out and says, you know what, I'm going to drink a few beers, I'm going to get on Twitter, and I'm going to go ahead and put this up there. I knew what CC Sabathia was going to throw, that slider or curveball, whatever, and he hit it out. And then we all knew what Kershaw was bringing to the table, and that's why we beat him. I know it just opens up wounds. I said it on Monday. I already had my little rant on Monday, but I want to hear what you have to say about this, Will, because it's something that hurts, man.
He's not telling me anything that I don't know already. You know, everyone knows that in 2017 there was a cheating scandal involved with cameras in center field at the Astros Stadium at Minute Maid Park, and you know, it was in the media. It was everywhere for a couple of years when the news broke out in 2020. And I think really that the only reason why Evan Gaddis is tweeting something like this is, in addition to him having a few too many beers that night, he just wants to stay relevant. He wants to get back in the spotlight because no one really gives a shit about this guy anymore. Like, who cares about Evan Gaddis? Really? It's Evan
Yeah,
Gaddis, dude.
yeah,
He was never like regarded as like a good baseball player or good catcher or whatever. He was fine. He might have been a little bit fantasy relevant for a couple of years, but so what? It's because he was a catcher. If he played any other position, no one would have ever picked him up. Like, the dude's irrelevant. No one cares. We basically everyone is already over it. We're over the situation. We're over everything. We've had this. We've known all this for the past 3 years. You know, so
yeah,
it's like it's just old news now. Like, opening up old wounds. I feel like he was just trying to get a reaction. You know, and
yeah.
there was a lot of people that reacted to it, and in my eyes, I'm just like, whatever. That's a boring topic now. I don't even want to talk about that anymore. You know.
Exactly. Like, and it gets to the point where what is MLB going to do about it now? Like, they're not going to do anything. And that's what I
It's
said. I said let's just forget about it. You guys can do whatever you guys want. You guys can use this story to feel more wounded about the 2017 World Series. You can hear the Astro fans saying, "Oh, but they beat them in Dodger Stadium." As we always said in this show, the Astros were a good team without the cameras. They should have played those games without the cameras. Now, with this, hearing this, that maybe it would have been game 5 that Kershaw pitched. And remember, it was a high scoring game. The Dodgers were hitting the crap out of these pitchers. And
both
then you
teams were
saw,
hitting like
yeah,
crazy.
but now we know why they were hitting like, or the Astros were hitting like crazy. They knew what Kershaw was throwing. And that's
Yeah.
it
Guys
kind of
guys
hurts.
like Yuli Gurriel that are not power hitters at all, hitting home runs off of Kershaw?
Yeah.
You know, it didn't make any sense, you know,
Yeah.
and
But
now it does.
I think it's time for us to move forward, to forget about this incident, because the MLB is not going to do anything about it because they didn't. They
Well,
just
actually, they have done something about it. They
what?
changed all these rules, and they're making us they're making our vision go away from that, and they're moving it over to something else, just like the government does. You know, they want to put something else in front of us so that way we forget what's over here, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I maybe that's one of the reasons why MLB decided to change the rules now, because they want us to forget about things that happened in the past.
Yeah. And it sucks. It really sucks, but yeah, he's just want to be relevant, and I mean, whatever. It is what it is. If you're a Dodger fan listening to our show and or not a Dodger fan, you want to understand what it meant in 2017 to watch the Dodgers fall to the Astros. It was one of the greatest World Series. I feel maybe because it's just maybe because it was our team on the on in the World Series, but after hearing that these guys cheated, it kind of sucked. And
Dude.
yeah,
I,
I mean, I don't
I
know what
was
else to say
more
about it.
I was more mad about the fact about the way that they were acting after they won the 2017 World Series. Like I wasn't mad at that moment, but once I found out they cheated, then when I remembered like, Josh Reddick going to a car dealership and buying like this crazy expensive car that was like $250,000 and saying some crap about the Dodgers as, as he tweeted that. And one of the Astros players, I don't remember who it was, proposing to his girlfriend at Dodger Stadium when they won the World Series. It's like,
You're
dude,
gonna hate me for this. You're gonna hate me for this, and I know you hate this man. It was Carlos Correa.
that's what I thought too. And you know what's crazy? I hate this guy so much. I have him on both of my teams, on both fantasy teams, on both
He's
keeper
a good
teams.
shortstop, dude. He's a good shortstop. You got to give it to the man, but just the
Yeah, and I'm
cockiness
just
and
trying to
all that
win some
stuff.
fantasy money.
Just the fact that this man, I mean, put all that cheating stuff away. He's a great shortstop. Defensively, he's great. Hitting, he's great. Even we don't know if he was one of those players that used the cameras or not, but he was part of the team. He is part of that 2017 World Series championship, which the MLB did not do anything about, and that's what mostly Dodger fans are mad about. And then you have these Yankee fans that are mad as well because they felt that they should have won the World Series, but they didn't even make it to the World Series because the Dodgers were there. So that's kind of a slap on the face from Yankee fans to Dodger fans saying, "Oh, we would have won the World Series." Like, no, the Dodgers were there. It would have been Dodgers Yankees, and I think the Dodgers would have took that World Series. And
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 Altuve wouldn't have won the MVP that season either.
no, he wouldn't have won that
It would have been
world.
Aaron Judge.
It would have been Aaron Judge, and I think that's a lot of things. Yeah, Evan Gaddis reopened that wound for a lot of people, not just like Dodger fans, Yankee fans too. And yeah, the MLB fans can say, "Oh, you guys are a bunch of crybabies," but wait, your team did not make it to the World Series that year. Your team did not make it to the ALCS that year, so you don't know how much it hurts because there's a lot of people that wish that we're here because now they're not. They're not here anymore. That we would have won that World Series then. So they didn't get to see the champs, the real champs, raise that trophy, and that's. I'm just trying to say, like, it sucks. It sucks all in general. But let's forget about that. Let's move on from it. Evan Gaddis, you're just trying to be relevant, and it's not going to work. I think everybody's past that chapter. We know that you guys cheated, and for every fan out there, I think there's an asterisk for the 2017, and that's what it is, and that's what
Yeah,
it is, and
and
it's going to stay that way.
it's going to be remembered for history.
Yeah.
No one forgot about the Chicago Black Sox, and no one's
Mm-hmm.
gonna forget about the cameras in center field at Minute Maid Park.
Mm-hmm. And that's just what it is. And if you want to go ahead and say, "Oh, every team was cheating," you use that logic for yourself. You can keep it and you can go and run with it. But no one else got caught. It was only the Astros that got caught because the 2018 Red Sox didn't get caught. And I mean, well, they got caught, but they didn't show any, I guess, evidence of them cheating. So guess what happened? They kept the 2018 championship, and no one's talking about that.
I
So
think there's a big difference between um, the way that the Astros cheated compared to how other teams have possibly cheated in the past.
yeah, let's talk about the 2021 World Series. I know who won that, man. Chewy, dude, I know the Braves won. That's all. That's all I got to say. The Braves, we know that they won. Was it
They did.
2021 or 2022? Oh yeah, it was
2022 was the
2021.
Astros.
Astros 2021. Yeah, it was the Braves. Yeah, well, they need to win it this year, and I do have them one of the top teams of going all the way to the World Series
Yeah,
because I
they're in the
feel like
top in the power rankings.
yeah, I do see them doing it, but I mean, I'm still hurt about the 2017, man. Damn. Sucks. I don't want to bring that up anymore. Let's forget about it. I just wanted to bring that up, Will, because I know when we started this show, like we would talk about it so much that it was kind of like,
Yeah,
damn,
that's
who
when it was
hurt
fresh
you?
because we started the show in 2020, and that's when we found out about it.
Yeah, like it sucks. When did we hear it? 2020, right? That's
Yeah,
when the 60 game series, 60 game
that's when
season.
what was that pitcher's name that spilled the beans? The
Dang, I'm trying to
whistleblower,
remember. I'm trying to
the
remember.
irrelevant pitcher that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, well, he does matter now. He's going to be part of history because he
Yeah.
decided to say it. But it is what it is. It hurts me. Yeah, there you go. It hurts everybody. But we'll see what happens in the future. If it does happen again, hopefully they do something about it. And it's not just a piece of metal, like Manfred said. It's more than just that. It's more of bringing families together and friendship and going into the playoffs, going into the World Series. It was so much fun that year, man. I still remember like it was yesterday, to be honest. We were hanging out every game, and that's something that I normally don't do because we decide to go to sleep and wake up and try to go work the next day. But when the Dodgers were playing in the World Series, it was like, I don't care. I'll stay up all the way. I stayed up for the Boston Red Sox game against the Dodgers, the 18 inning game. That was a long one,
Crazy.
you know? So, all right, cool. We reached
Oh,
that point
Mike
in time.
Fires. That's what it
Yeah,
is. Thank you, Chewy. Mike Fires.
yeah, yeah, there you go. Yeah, Friars. He's the one that spilled the beans. All right, we reached the point in time that the show is going to end. We
Well,
want to give.
there's one more
There's one
guy
more?
that I wanted to there's one more guy that I wanted to talk about just real quick.
Go
That's
for
he's
it.
kind of up there with all these players that I'm really recommending to add. The last guy that I want to highlight is Edouard Julien. Edouard Julien is an amazing baseball player. He plays for the Twins. He's batted leadoff for the Twins one game. I believe that was against a righty, no, against a lefty because he's a lefty bat. This guy, his minor league numbers are just out of control. In 2022 in Double A, he hit 300, had a 441 on base percentage. His plate discipline is just freaking crazy. He had 98 walks in 400 at bats. 98 walks in 400 at bats. That's not even like a full season, a full MLB season, dude. 400
Uh-huh.
at bats is like when a guy misses 2 months of the season. And for him
Yeah.
to have 98 walks in such a short amount of time, it's freaking crazy, dude. I picked him up. I have this guy in my league, and he is widely available. And he took Joey Gallo's spot in the lineup in the Twins. And Joey Gallo is nothing, dude. If Edouard Julien just continues to impress, the Twins are going to keep him in the lineup. He's going to stay in the top of the lineup, at least against righties, and maybe get dropped down against lefties. But he's the type of player that's going to play every day. Had a 931 OPS in 2022, 17 home runs, 19 stolen bases, 19 doubles in 400 at bats. It's just crazy numbers. And then this year in the minors in AAA, he's had 290 batting average with a 421 on base percentage, a 970 OPS, 2 home runs, 1 stolen base, 5 doubles, and only 31 at bats. You know, this guy, he played for Team Canada, by the way. So if anyone was watching the World Baseball Classic, he led the league, the whole World Baseball Classic in OPS. He had a 1.872 OPS.
Wow.
If you have an OPS over 1,000, you are considered elite. And this guy was 1,872. Freaking
Wow.
crazy, man. I
It
am
is.
so excited about Edouard Julien, dude. If you don't know who this guy is, research him. You know, I mean, I've already done the research for you. I'm letting you know what the numbers are now. Just go and pick this guy up. And even if he doesn't stay up for the entire season, if they want to, use one of his minor league options, I still think he's worth hanging on to. Hopefully you have an NA spot. So if he does get sent down, you can always slot him back in your lineup if he gets picked up again. But he batted leadoff against the Yankees, went 2 for 5, and hit a home run. He had a home run and a single against the Yankees. So Edouard Julien, that's spelled Julien. If you're looking him up in your fantasy leagues, go and pick this guy up. So it's Edouard Julien, Jared Kalenic, and Taj Bradley. Those are the three guys that I'm very excited about this season. Not just this week, but for the whole season.
Dude, that's gold right there. That's really gold. So hopefully, if you're listening or you get here late to the show, like, oh my God, you better pick these guys up.
And Edouard Julien, I think he's available. He's only owned in like 23%.
24, yeah, 23, 24%. That's what I'm looking up right now. It's not, he's still not, you say he's taking, what is his name? Joey Gallo?
Joey Gallo. Yeah.
Joey Gallo. Dude.
And that's even with Correa coming back.
Yeah.
I know he's only eligible at second base, but you could easily slot him middle infield, second base, utility spot, like wherever you want. This guy needs to be in your lineup. If he's on your team, he needs to be in your lineup, and you can sit almost any other second baseman instead of this guy.
All right, cool. I love those 3 picks, man, and I'm gonna look into. I know in our league it's not going to be available for sure.
I have them already.
Yeah. All right. Any last words before we go ahead? We already went over the hour mark, but it's all right. It's all baseball related news for us. So anything
the only
else
thing I want to say is if you guys do have any questions, if you're not watching on our live show, if you're rewatching this later on, you can email us at realtalkbaseball@yahoo.com. We have Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter. You can search us all on there. It's Real Talk Baseball, except for on Twitter. It's the letter R, Talk Baseball. They won't let us have such a long name, so we can't put out the whole thing. But you can reach us on any one of those platforms. Ask us any fantasy questions or any just baseball questions, or if you even just want to talk baseball, that's what we're here for. We enjoy the questions. We like talking about it on the podcast, or even if we're just emailing. I get a lot of messages on Instagram. Instagram is like the number one where I get all the messages and want the fantasy advice from. And I'm always here for you if you need anything. If there's something that I don't really have any knowledge about, I will research it for you, and I will get back to you as soon as I get a chance.
Cool. And he does know a lot, man. I put him on the spot a lot when I'm on the show with him. Mm-hmm. So if you guys didn't see the beginning of the show, I threw some stuff on him and he answered right away. So this guy knows his stuff. Like, he really knows his stuff about fantasy baseball, and not just fantasy baseball, but baseball in general, like everything new. So you guys might want to have him help you guys win your league. And that's one of the good things about Will and Xavi. They do their shows on Fridays. There's another show on Monday, but even if you post it there, I will reach out to them and let them know. It's just, we just love talking baseball all the time. That's what this show's about. When we have the questions here live, that's what we really love, because we like the interaction. We love the interaction. And this show can't be, something unless you guys go ahead and post those questions. All right. Well, we reached that point. I'm Carlos Baseball. This is Will. Sorry, man. I haven't done this in a long time. I'm Carlos Baseball. This is Will Power Real Talk Baseball. Signing out.
See you guys.